Phoenix is the capital of the southwestern U.S. state of Arizona. Known for its year-round sun and warm temperatures, it anchors a sprawling, multi-city metropolitan area known as the Valley of the Sun. It's known for high-end spa resorts, Jack Nicklaus designed golf courses and vibrant nightclubs. Other highlights include the Desert Botanical Garden, displaying cacti and numerous native plants. The story of Phoenix's innovation began with the Hohokam people, who created canals through the Sonoran Desert that fed a civilization for over 1,000 years. Today, this spirit inspires ideas that shape our future. An unbreakable brightness and vitality have brought an entire city to heights others never dreamed possible. It's a culture that pushes the boundaries of possibility well beyond traditional city limits. The Hohokam people occupied the Phoenix area for 2,000 years. They created roughly 135 miles of irrigation canals, making the desert land arable, and paths of these canals were used for the Arizona Canal, Central Arizona Project Canal, and the Hayden Roads Aqueduct. They also carried out extensive trade with the nearby ancient pueblones, Mogollon and Sinagua, as well as with the more distant Mesoamerican civilizations. It is believed periods of drought and severe floods between 1300 and 1450 led to the Hohokam civilization's abandonment of the area. After the departure of the Hohokam, groups of Akimal Owadham, Tohono Owadham, and Maricopa tribes began to use the area, as well as segments of the Yavapai and Apache. The Owadham were offshoots of the Sobey-Puri tribe, who in turn were thought to be the descendants of the Hohokam. The Akimal Owadham were the major group in the area. They lived in small villages with well-defined irrigation systems that spread over the Gila River Valley, from Florence in the east to the Estrellas in the west. Their crops included corn, beans, and squash for food as well as cotton and tobacco. They banded with the Maricopa for protection against incursions by the Yuma and Apache tribes. The Maricopa are part of the larger Yuma people. However, they migrated east from the lower Colorado and Gila rivers in the early 1800s, when they began to be enemies with other Yuma tribes, settling among the existing communities of the Akimal Owadham. The Mexican-American War ended in 1848, Mexico ceded its northern zone to the United States, and the region's residents became U.S. citizens. The Phoenix area became part of the New Mexico Territory. In 1863, the mining town of Wickenburg was the first to be established in Maricopa County, to the northwest of Phoenix. Maricopa County had not been incorporated. The land was within Yavapai County, which included the major town of Prescott to the north of Wickenburg. The Army created Fort McDowell on the Verde River in 1865 to forestall Indian uprisings. The fort established a camp on the south side of the Salt River by 1866, which was the first settlement in the valley after the decline of the Hohokam. Other nearby settlements later merged to become the city of Tempe. A town that had just over 65,000 residents in 1940 became America's fifth largest city by 2020, with a population of nearly 1.6 million, and millions more in nearby suburbs. After the war, many of the men who had undergone their training in Arizona returned with their new families. Learning of this large untapped labor pool enticed many large industries to move their operations to the area. In 1948, high-tech industry, which would become a staple of the state's economy, arrived in Phoenix when Motorola chose Phoenix as the site of its new research and development center for military electronics. Seeing the same advantages as Motorola, other high-tech companies, such as Intel and McDonnell Douglas, moved into the valley and opened manufacturing operations. By 1950, over 105,000 people resided in the city and thousands more in surrounding communities. The 1950s growth was spurred on by advances in air conditioning, which allowed homes and businesses to offset the extreme heat experienced in Phoenix and the surrounding areas during its long summers. There was more new construction in Phoenix in 1959 alone than from 1914 to 1946. Like many emerging American cities at the time, Phoenix's spectacular growth did not occur evenly. It largely took place on the city's north side, a region that was nearly all Caucasian. In 1962, one local activist testified at a U.S. Commission on Civil Rights hearing that of 31,000 homes that had recently sprung up in this neighborhood, not a single one had been sold to an African American. Phoenix's African American and Mexican American communities remained largely sequestered on the south side of town. The color lines were so rigid that no one north of Van Buren Street would rent to the African American baseball star Willie Mays, in town for spring training in the 1960s. 58 In 1964, a reporter from the New Republic wrote of segregation in these terms: "Apartheid is complete. The two cities look at each other across a golf course." The continued rapid population growth led more businesses to the valley to take advantage of the labor pool, and manufacturing, particularly in the electronics sector, continued to grow. 61 The convention and tourism industries saw rapid expansion during the 1960s, with tourism becoming the third largest industry by the end of the decade. In 1965, the Phoenix Corporate Center opened. At the time it was the tallest building in Arizona, topping off at 341 feet. The 1960s saw many other buildings constructed as the city expanded rapidly, including the Rosenzweig Center, 1964, today called Phoenix City Square, the landmark Phoenix Financial Center, 1964, as well as many of Phoenix's residential high-rises. In 1965 the Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum opened at the Arizona State Fairgrounds, west of downtown. When Phoenix was awarded an NBA franchise in 1968, which would be called the Phoenix Suns, they played their home games at the Coliseum until 1992, after which they moved to America West Arena. In 1968, President Lyndon B. Johnson approved the Central Arizona Project, assuring future water supplies for Phoenix, Tucson, and the agricultural corridor between them. The following year, Pope Paul VI created the Diocese of Phoenix on December 2, by splitting the Archdiocese of Tucson, with Edward A. McCarthy as the first bishop. In the 1970s the downtown area experienced a resurgence, with a level of construction activity not seen again until the urban real estate boom of the 2000s. By the end of the decade, Phoenix adopted the Phoenix Concept 2000 plan, which split the city into urban villages, each with its own village core where greater height and density was permitted, further shaping the free market development culture. The 9 original villages have expanded to 15 over the years. This officially turned Phoenix into a city of many nodes, which would later be connected by freeways. The Phoenix Symphony Hall opened in 1972. Other major structures which saw construction downtown during this decade were the First National Bank Plaza, the Valley Center, the tallest building in Arizona, and the Arizona Bank Building. On September 25, 1981, Phoenix resident Sandra Day O'Connor broke the gender barrier in the U.S. Supreme Court, when she was sworn in as the first female justice. In 1985, the Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station, the nation's largest nuclear power plant, began electrical production. Pope John Paul II and Mother Teresa both visited the valley in 1987. There was an influx of refugees due to low-cost housing in the Sunny Slope area in the 1990s, resulting in 43 different languages being spoken in local schools by 2000. The new 20-story City Hall opened in 1992. Phoenix has maintained a growth streak in recent years, growing by 24.2% before 2007. This made it the second fastest growing metropolitan area in the United States, surpassed only by Las Vegas 80 in 2008. Squaw Peak, the city's second tallest mountain, was renamed Piastua Peak after Army Specialist Lori Ann Piastua, an Arizonan, and the first Native American woman to die in combat while serving in the U.S. military, as well as being the first American female casualty of the 2003 Iraq War. 2008 also saw Phoenix as one of the cities hardest hit by the subprime mortgage crisis, and by early 2009 the median home price was $150,000, down from its $262,000 peak in 2007. Crime rates in Phoenix have fallen in recent years, and once troubled, decaying neighborhoods such as South Mountain, Alhambra, and Maryvale have recovered and stabilized. Recently, downtown Phoenix and the Central Core have experienced renewed interest and growth, resulting in many restaurants, stores, and businesses opening or relocating to Central.
Thanks for watching our video. Please subscribe the channel. If you like it, share it with your friends. Bye bye.